Are we live? I hope we're live. It looks like we're live. Hi! So, every week at around about 6 p.m. on a Wednesday, I go live on Instagram. And this week, the wonderful, amazing Nikita Gill is going to join me. And I wonder, is she going to request it, or is she just keep me? Ah, there she is. Hey, Mega, how's it going? Mega is the director of the movie that I happen to be in called What Are the Odds on Netflix right now. Mega's gangster. Hi, Idrish. Ah, there's the request from Nikita. Here we go. Going live with Nikita. Waiting. Will it connect? Will it fuck up? Hey! How's it going?
Good. I haven't washed my hair in a few days, choti going on, so.
Nice. Nice. It's keeping it real in this current climate. I'm just turn the volume down because you're very loud in my ears.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
I'm a loud person. What can I do?
Dude, like this is the thing. So when we were talking about this, I was just like, shit, we've got to be really careful what we say, because I'm used to just talking shit at you in a bar and just ranting at you constantly. And you rant at me and we talk about everything under the sun. I was like, shit, this is the one I'm a little nervous about, because if I get a little bit tipsy and fucking go off on one, who knows where the conversation will go.
I'll have to say, Nerm, this is public.
Yeah, stop it. Dude, actually, speaking of which, right, I was pouring myself a drink and I'm becoming such a fucking uncle without going out. So when I do these chats, I have I have a bit of JD and Coke, right? And the sugar content in the Coke is driving me nuts. So I'll switch to sugar-free. But now, like a proper old Bombay uncle, I have to mix two soft drinks. So one like sugar-free Coke and one regular Coke with one JD. Like, what the fuck?
What's happened to you? This is not the Nerm I hung out with a few months ago.
Fucked up, man. I need a haircut. I need to trim. It's lovely because every Wednesday I get to do this. Once a week, I get to talk to a friend of mine. I get to bathe. I get to wash. I get to trim everything. And it's like, it keeps me sane. So, I'm keeping it, and I get a bit tipsy. It's quite nice. Yeah.
Always good. Good.
So, Nikita Gill is a woman that I greatly admire. You are a poet, you are an author, but I know you mainly as a drinking buddy.
That's right.
Yeah, someone's saying, which one of you is Nikita Gill?
Dude. It's him.
Yeah, I'm Nikita Gill.
It's him.
I wrote a book called Great Goddesses,
Yes.
and inject feminism in all my work. In fact, that's something I strive to do generally anyway.
We should all inject some feminism in our work. It's very
Indeed. Absolutely. I mean, you do it in such an astounding, beautiful way that no one can fuck with you. You're kind of bulletproof in that respect. Your work's so, bulletproof is the word. Your work's so complete. You can't really test it. It's awesome.
I try. I do try, but there are people. I think we live in a time, and also this is something I kind of I've had to accept as a writer, or all creative people do. Once you create the work and put it out into the world, people are going to interpret it the way they want to interpret it, and they'll see it through the lens that they experience life. So I think when my first book went out there, and I tried to do what I always do, which is hear many sides to every story and all of that. I was really upset when people kind of went, oh, but this is anti-man, and I'm like, how are you seeing that? And I realized that one of the things sometimes people do is if they see a woman has written something and it empowers women, they just automatically think she's being anti-man, and that's just how they have perceived their lives. That's not necessarily. I think that's not great, but maybe that's just how they've perceived life.
Yeah.
Can't judge people for that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that it's like Nikesh, our mutual friend Nikesh Shukla, who's the creator of The Good Immigrant, who we all love.
Brilliant.
We had this discussion about sort of not minority, but representational art and platforms and stuff, and how the end goal is that they will no longer be necessary.
Yeah.
The end goal is that you don't, it should be an ideal situation where it doesn't even matter. It can stand on its own 2 feet, but unfortunately, it's just there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years of structural of construction that you have to get around to get that balance in the, you know, in the first place. So the end goal of not having to care about it is something that I think people take for granted because it doesn't exist. But that's also why I like your work, because I think it's fascinating how you can read your work as anti-man, because I don't think you can.
I try not to.
You try to be anti-man, but you fail miserably, and your work's just universally praised, and you're just like, shit, I want to put dudes off, but you know, fuck.
No, I think what's the funny thing is when you write, and you see how the work is received, it teaches you a lot about how to write. Like, I think writing is one of those things you can only really learn from feedback, right? You can only learn when people consume it, and then you hear what they think of it, and then they tell you, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I meant to actually put it that way. And sometimes the way people perceive it is they make you sound a lot smarter than you actually are, and I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that I was doing that, but I'll claim that.
I'm not blowing smoke up your ass when I say this, by the way. I have no need to.
No, it's true. He can be very mean to me. He wants to be.
Mate, I don't even have to try. It's quite easy. I mean, this is the thing. It's quite a ridiculously easy thing to take the piss out of you, particularly in a bar. It's in a loving way, of course, in a loving way. But listen, guys, if you've got any questions for Nikita as well, consider this as like more of a bar chat as opposed to an interview. There's gonna be lots of swearing, lots of inappropriateness. But if you're going to ask a question, don't be inappropriate. Don't be a dickhead. Do something like, you know, put something good on that little question mark thing at the bottom. But yeah, so talking about your writing stuff, and you went from, and this is interesting, we hung out, we got drunk, and I read your books. I knew you were someone of talent because I'm very lucky to have talented friends that are mutual friends of ours that helped introduce us. But then I read your work and I was like, you know, like Great Goddesses is just fucking beautifully written. I saw your play, well, your one woman show where you just read a monologue, which is ridiculous. I was astounded that, you know, an hour-long monologue was your first theatrical work of you acting, and I was like, what the fuck are you playing at?
It was fun. It was fun to create and write, and I think the thing with the art is you've got to be brave with it, right? And I wasn't expecting to be quite that brave with it, but it's good because now anything else that comes my way,
you can handle it. But this is the thing, the leap that you, okay, so I didn't know, I mean, let me rephrase this question in my head because I'm just a mumbling idiot right now. Because I think we're in a bar and it's just really bad. My instinct is to go, listen, you bastard, tell me this. So I'm trying to be nicer and formulate it. So you mentioned this thing about, you know, you're an Instagram poet, which I'd never fucking heard of before. But I know you from your books and your theater as opposed to your Instagram poetry. And then once I realized, I was like, oh shit, all these like images of text that people share are yours. I was like, oh fuck, you're that person. But you went from being that person to the book and theater person. How?
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to be a writer that people can't put into a box, which is why I wanted to create theater, which is why I want to write something for TV, which is why I've always got like 100 projects going on with writing and with illustration and everything, because I don't really like I don't like labels. I think artists don't like labels. I don't think I never
Sorry,
met
I totally thought you said navels then. I was just like,
don't like navels either.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it? What even is a navel? It's just like that.
Dude, it's the umbilical cord thing, man. It's how you get nutrients as a fucking embryo. I mean, of course.
Well, I'm a writer, not a biologist. But failed biology.
That's a cross-gender thing, actually. Everyone's got assholes and belly buttons.
It's true.
There's something in that. I don't know what. But anyway, sorry.
Write a poem about it.
I just cut you off on a serious one. So sorry about that. No, Delicious is Prince, not MJ. Yes. So just anyway.
I was gonna say, I'm like, can't you tell by the hair? It's Prince.
Yeah.
Your favorite. We all love Prince. What's not to love about Prince?
Right, so yeah, sorry, I cut you off and started talking bollocks at you. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying, like, I think one of the most annoying things in the world for any artist is to be termed by maybe a platform, or which I've never really seen before, but usually artists get stereotyped into genres, right? When you're an actor, you get stereotyped sometimes into a genre of, I don't know, this guy only plays a villain. Or
just like my acting debut, where I play a fucking British band manager. Exactly. I know exactly what you mean.
you were fucking brilliant in that. I was so impressed. I'm sorry. I was like proper mummy taking photos of like stills and sending them to you, going, "Oh, my beta, I'm so proud of you."
I mean, yeah, it was. Anyway, sorry. Yes, exactly. Actors get typecast. Authors get put into boxes. Idiot British music people get to play idiot British music people.
You were so funny as well. I really love that because I'm like, okay, so Nerm is just playing Nerm. That's what he's doing, which is great.
Fucking typecast. I know exactly what you mean. It's ridiculous.
But this is it, right? Artists get typecast by maybe like someone is called just a fine artist, but then they go out and they make this exquisite piece of motion-based art. And you just look at it and you kind of are like, wow, like I didn't know you could do that, because the media narrative about you is that you only paint large canvases. And I
Right.
found that really interesting, that people, unfortunately, as a species, we have this necessity to like put everyone in little boxes so we can understand them better. And I think that there's something like, I really want to study the psychology of that. I swear, like one of these days, I want to write a thriller which is all about like why people like to stereotype people into boxes, and like a serial killer that doesn't follow an MO. That would be amazing.
That is interesting. Maybe it's a way of just comprehending the world. Because I see, like, I was having this big conversation about representation in media. I mean, it's fucking never-ending conversation. It's so boring. Fuck. It's such a boring conversation to have. But the point being, breaking out those boxes and being put in those stereotypical boxes in a media landscape is just fucking frustrating. But then looking back at it and talking about Prince, for example, blurring the barriers between black and white and male and female and rock and R&B and, you know, white music and black music and all those things. I think that the artists that do that blurring of the barriers are some of the most fucking interesting. So for you to go from like I mean, you refer to yourself as this, which is when you say you don't want to be referred to as an Instagram poet, but it's something I'd never fucking heard about. To making this leap is pretty awesome. And it takes a lot of bravery. And speaking of bravery, how the fuck did you end up in the UK? Dude, what the fuck are you doing here, bro? And how can that kick you back out yet? What's going on?
Where you from, bro?
Yeah, where you from, bro?
So it's a fun story. I actually grew up in New Delhi, and I was born in Northern Ireland because during the Troubles.
Really?
So, well, yeah. So my dad was doing his captain's exam at the University of Jordanstown. He's a shippy, so he works out at sea, and I think there was one of like 3 universities that offered that particular course and examination, so he could become a captain.
Okay.
And my mum, because she's such a romantic, she was like, I'm not going to be away from you for a whole year, so she came with him like to this country to like, you know, look after him, and I, you know,
to do secret touchings in the library when he's meant to be studying. I know that background very well. There's that story of every brown kid in the UK. I'm going to the library, mom, dad.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But yeah, it's funny because she was here, and that's when they ended up having me. And after a few months, I went back to India. And then I grew up in New Delhi because that's where we lived for a really long time. First, we went to Jammu and Kashmir because I'm Kashmiri, and we lived with my grandparents for a while. And then we moved to New Delhi. And
damn, you went from hotspot to hotspot.
like literally, like
that cliff follows you everywhere. What the fuck?
I swear to God, my dad, this is why he calls me Trouble, because he's like, you were just born during the Troubles, and then you went to more trouble, and then you went to New Delhi. And then finally, I think when I wanted to do my master's, and you know, I think there was like some pressure like on me, because I was like reaching my mid-20s, so I was like 22 or so, 23, and my parents were like, "Ladki badi ho rahi hai, shaadi karni chahiye." that conversation. So I was like, actually, I want to study more.
Time to multiply. Yes. Go multiply.
So,
yes.
Yeah, so I was like, I want to study some more. So I ended up doing my master's here, and I did my master's in book arts and publishing, because I've loved books my whole life.
Book arts. I was like, what is book art? Book art kya hai? What the fuck? Okay, book arts. Okay, sorry, I'm being a dick.
No,
Please
no, but
continue.
it's funny because like I don't think they liked me very much at my university. I don't think my teachers liked me very much.
Really?
I know. I am
Were you a
charming.
complete bastard in class? Were you telling them what to do?
No, it was more that they wanted me to just create a pretty book, like, like one of those fancy books that doesn't really talk about much.
This is a fancy, pretty book. I mean, I think your work succeeded. I mean, it talks about a lot, but it's still pretty and fancy. I mean, fuck off. You did really look at this.
But what I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of look into the digital book and go into what is like distraction theory, because I learned that, our attention spans had reduced so much over the last 20 years, especially since the creation of the smartphone. And I wanted to look into the digital book and kind of like, I wanted to look at it from the perspective of somebody who does struggle with ADD, ADHD, and how to get people interested in reading again, and what could make a digital book interesting. So I wanted to get sound in, I wanted to get images in, I wanted to take the book to the next level.
Right.
And they were like, what are you doing? We just want you to make a pretty book. Like, you don't need to do any of this. And I was like, well, I don't know. I think this marriage of science and art and finding out these things, that's why I wanted to do a master's in the first place. And yeah, I had a hard time in that MA because I just don't think that they wanted, do you know what I mean? When you are like a little bit too out of the box for an art university.
No, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what I completely toe the line in everything I do. And,
but
totally. In an MA, that is shocking because they're meant to broaden your fucking horizons at that point, right? That's a good point. There's a question popped up. Where did you do your master's?
University for the Creative Arts in Farnham. So in Surrey, that's where I did my master's. And I don't know, maybe it was just my teacher, because I had some good teachers, but your main course teacher for that 1 year is the one you should get along with really well, because also there's like lots of politics in university and all of that. And I just don't think I was right, because I just right in the sense of like, I loved what I was studying, and in the end I really enjoyed what I made. I made like this space where like I projected different forms of distraction which I had learned of, and tried to make people read a book in that space which I had designed. And it was really interesting. Like, it went down, and the private view was really great. And but yeah, I got like, I passed. I passed.
So fuck them. Yeah, what do they know?
They were like, this is weird. I don't know what you're trying to do, kind of thing. But yeah.
Speaking of brown weirdos, hi Reju, hi Nikesh. They're both
Yay!
on the thing. Yay!
All our friends are here.
They are. Well, not all of them. There's many more. There's a whole swarm of brown people that could like take over this thing. It's quite frightening. Actually, I can't wait to get fucked up in real life with all of our mates. That's going to be so nice.
Oh man, that first time we are able to do that, that'll be so epic.
Insane.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun.
So wait there, you ended up coming here for your MA, and then the Home Office didn't kick you out?
Well, no, because I had an Irish passport.
I fucking knew it. That's it. You're a secret Irish person. If you were Pakistani, we'd call you a Padistani. A friend of mine was like mixed Irish and Pakistani when I was growing up, so we called him a Padistani.
No, I'm my dad. It's really funny because the story he tells is I got a choice because it's Northern Ireland and it was Belfast, so he got a choice. So you got a choice. So like properly where the trouble.
Jammu and Kashmir or Northern Ireland? What the fuck, dude? What the fuck, man? That is like just you know, if there was any sort of deity you were born under, it was fucking wait, Aries.
One of my patron gods. I do love Aries.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really interesting because all of this, I haven't really been able to write about so much of this until I was ready to write about it. Mm-hmm. So up until now, I've never really written substantially about my culture. So being Kashmiri and what that means and what that's always meant, and being like
And being Irish, what the fuck?
weird.
The best
Weird.
passport you could possibly have right about now, actually, considering Brexit and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because my dad basically told me that the reason he didn't take the UK passport is because the Irish passport was £3 cheaper. So being a proper Desi dad, he was
That's
like,
amazing.
economically.
That's like you know what? There's some secret hidden Gujul vein in your family, because that's what I would have fucking done. Just save that £3, bruv. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, there's a really lovely question here, right, from
Yeah.
Nita, and she's saying, "What was the first poem you wrote consciously?"
Oh, I love that.
Hi, Shah. My mate from LA, Shah's here. Hi.
I think I was, so it was actually very interconnected with the time when so I was about 12 or 13, and we kind of we kind of had to study a whole bunch of poems in school. And it was the first time a poem really moved me was Robert Frost's The Road Not Taken. But one of the questions that I asked my teacher was, why are we studying so many like old dead white British men? Like why is my textbook in India filled with so many old dead white British men? Like where are all the brown women? Because there are lots of brown women poets. Where are they? Why are we not studying them?
And all we know is to go, basically.
Yeah, which was weird. And my teacher was amazing because I asked where are all the women, she kind of went, you know what, you're actually right. One of the effects of colonialism is that we are left with these textbooks that do cover a lot of old dead white British men in our English classes, because that's what we do. We haven't yet decolonized the language. And I was quite young, I was only 12, and she answered this in front of everyone. And she basically said, there are these three poets, and she said, Maya Angelou, Sarojini Naidu, and Audre Lorde. Go home and read them. She gave the assignment to the entire class. She's like, go home, read these poets, and come back, like write a poem like them.
That's cool. That's fucking cool.
That was very cool. Right?
Was your class pissed off with you for giving them extra homework?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, it's all covered in the book. Like this new book which I'm writing, this whole experience is in there. Okay. And like, I went home and I read Maya Angelou, and I fell in love with everything Maya Angelou wrote. I fell in love with everything Sarojini Naidu. In fact, I fell more in love with Sarojini Naidu's life because she's a really interesting person. And I was like, why is this not part of our core curriculum? But our teacher made it part of our core curriculum. She really fought for it. I came to know all of this later.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like you only really begin to appreciate those things when you get older. You know, when you're 12 and you hear that a teacher is fighting to get something put on the curriculum, it goes in through one ear, it goes out through the other. As you get older, you realize what a difference that makes to another generation of like the next, lot of 7th graders who read poetry were reading Maya Angelou as part of the core curriculum. That's amazing. So I don't know. I found it really interesting, that experience, and that was when I consciously wrote my first poem based on Maya Angelou's Phenomenal Woman.
That's amazing. Was your teacher male or female, just out of interest?
Lady. She's a lady. Yeah, she's a lady.
Gangster. Because if it was a dude, I think you would have towered over them and just punched them in the face.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience, and I think it was one of the experiences that really made me who I am. Because if she hadn't done those things in that way, I don't think I would have had such a great love for poetry.
Is this the new book that you're talking about? Is this the one I know about, or is this a different thing? Because they sound separate.
This is a new book.
This is a new thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Not the new one that isn't out yet that I already know about.
No, that's the one. New one that isn't out yet. That's the one.
Oh, so there isn't a new one?
No, I can only write so many books at once now.
Oh, but Christ, you're so prolific. Shut up. I've read your Instagram posts. I know how you can write like people breathe.
I was actually writing just before I got onto this call, and I was just saying to you, wasn't I, that I was trying to describe the nuances of an Indian wedding and the beautiful chaos that it can be.
I was in the pot when you sent that. And I was like, there's something similar to an Indian wedding and taking a shit. and I had all this stuff going on in my head that I'll save to share offline with you when we're in a bar properly.
No, an
But yeah,
An Indian wedding, and I was trying to kind of describe the everything that you feel, and it's so overwhelming, isn't it, when you attend like a really big Indian wedding and there's like 500 people there, and everyone's like related to everyone, because this is the wedding I'm writing about is like a family wedding.
and yet they're trying to set you up with your cousin or something. Or accidentally, or you find someone, you do touchings, and you wake up the next day, oh my God, I'm related to you. Shit, we did touchings.
No.
It's never happened to me. I'm just speculating, of course. I never touched my own family, dude. Clearly.
Oh man, but yeah, it's all really interesting, because writing about my childhood is kind of bringing back a lot of memories. Like, I'd completely forgotten this thing about what Miss Kalia did, right? And writing about it in poetry kind of has brought it back to me and gone, wow, I had so many amazing, powerful women influencing me, and that's what made me the woman I am today. We're kind of fighting back against cultural norms and fighting back against, so much. And there were so many people who kind of, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yeah. A village, yeah.
A village. You knew you were gonna do this. I knew you were gonna do this. I mixed my B's and W's up, and no,
it's infinite source of pleasure. It's fucking brilliant. So it takes a village, yes.
You're very bad.
I'm sorry. You know what? There must be another question here to stop me talking shit to you. I don't know whether this is an interesting question or not, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna allow that one. Just see if there's any other questions. There's the question here. Why did you move out of Kashmir, and do you ever want to return?
I think the thing about Kashmir that everyone should know is that when you have your formulaic experiences in your childhood in Kashmir, it never leaves you. It will never leave you. But fact of the matter is, no matter what faith you are, it is really scary to live there, because there's so much which is always going on, whether it is a political narrative or whether there's, bomb blasts, whether there's a curfew on, whether, right now Kashmir's in lockdown. It is hard to be Kashmiri. It has always been hard to be Kashmiri, and whatever faith you are from, it is hard. I miss it all the time. I write about it all the time because it is such a special, different place. And I think I wish I could go back more often. I wish I could visit every year. I go to see my grandparents in Jammu. They live there now. But it's hard. It's hard to talk about. It's hard to talk about. I feel like there's a lot of silence involved with talking about Kashmir, because a lot of people feel like if you talk about it, someone will say something and someone's feelings will get hurt, and your
comments will fucking explode, and then you'll just end up fucking dealing with a load of fucking trolls for ages and ages and ages. Like, oh mate, just fuck off. Yeah, totally. Yeah, sorry for raising that point. I thought it was an interesting question. It was fascinating. Like, for some reason it reminded me of oh god, I forgot her name. Malala's book.
I haven't actually read it, but then I haven't had time to read anything recently, which is really annoying because Nikesh's book has just come out.
Oh yeah, Brown Baby.
Brown Baby.
Yeah. He hasn't sent me a copy, the bastard.
It's so good.
He hasn't sent me a copy.
I just started reading it a couple of days ago. You have to read it. You have to make him send you a copy. Nikesh, if you're watching this, please send Nerm a copy.
I'll message him. We talk about like Batman and Spider-Man and shit almost every day, and Star Wars.
We love Star Wars.
You a Star Wars nerd?
I mean, my mom literally, like, I was 8 years old and she was a Star Wars nerd. Which is the funniest thing in the world.
We've spoken about Neil Gaiman and mythology and stuff, but never Star Wars. How has that not been a drunken evening of chat?
We have to save something, for when we all get out of quarantine and have a long, a long chat. You get drunk.
This is very true. This is very, very true. Actually, one of the last night that we hung out was the club night that I put on, where you did some spoken word stuff.
It was
with
so much fun.
Anushka, Shruti, Sarati, and Riz, and a bunch of our friends. And that was the fucking last night before lockdown.
Mm.
And I'm so glad that that happened.
It's so good, isn't it? It's such a lovely memory to keep as well, because that was such a special night. We all had so much fun, and
Yeah.
more nights like that when we're out of all of this.
Totally. Who'd have thought that was the last night? It was a pretty fucking good one. But the other thing I was going to talk about was that Star Wars has got me through through Brexit. Not that it's through yet. The election, all sorts of horrible shit. There's just stuff I can sort of distract myself from.
Yeah.
And get into it. And weirdly, it's separate from my creations, right? So my work is something I could throw myself into. And doing stuff like this is a great distraction too, but also that nerdy stuff. But you seem to write fucking constantly. So what is your escape?
Escape from writing?
From everything, from fucking everything. Like, is it just hardcore drugs and alcohol and like masturbation? Or is it just like sort of surfing really dodgy websites? Like, what is it that you do to unwind? Because I use Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm actually, I can be quite boring. What I like to do, I mean, you're like drinking and masturbation and all, and I'm just like, wow, now I'm gonna have to tell him, and it's such a boring thing. Like, all I do is like, I put on like rubbish on TV and zone out like for a while. My favorite thing to do is, I've got a bit of a skylight like situation, so I just like watching the sky. And it's something one of my mentors taught me, is that when you finish like a really big, art project, which has taken up months and months of your time, and you put so much into it, you need like a whole day after where you do nothing. You don't even watch TV. You just look at the sky and like decompress. And I thought, initially I was like, what is he talking about? But then I did it, and he's like 100% right. It is the best way to decompress. Just look at the clouds and do nothing. It's such a luxury to be able to do that, and to be able to just appreciate being by yourself with nothing. Like, it's good.
Okay, that was a very good response to a very obtuse question. Excellent. Hi Bailey, hi Dee, how's it going? Right, so there's a question here that popped up, which is awesome. Which goddess do you most resonate with?
Ooh, I love Hecate. Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft and necromancy.
Looking this shit up, man.
It's the dictionary of forgotten magic makers.
She's not in this, dude.
She is the dictionary of forgotten magic makers. She's there.
Lies.
She is.
Lies, I tell you.
Well, my second play is going to be about her and Styx, the goddess of hatred. So, but I love Hecate. I'm literally writing a whole play.
What's her power set in superhero terms? What's her power set?
You want her origin story? Her origin story is quite cool.
Go on.
Okay, so
I'm getting comfy.
So the story basically goes that when...
Oh, sorry. Interjection. Sorry. Pragati is do you do witchcraft, Nikita? I thought it was an excellent interjection.
I'm a witch. I'm open about this. I do the tarot. I believe in, a lot of spirituality. I'm a worshiper of the moon. And I'm writing books about the pagan gods. So, I think I've outed myself quite well.
And I'm a punk who pisses on hippos. Hippos? Shit, hippies. I don't piss on hippos. Just pissed on a hippo casually the other day. It's fine. I'm sorry, please continue. You were saying.
No,
Hecate.
Right. So Hecate, the goddess of...
Not Hippoti, because that's the Hippocratic Oath. I promise not to piss on hippos. No. Sorry, Hecate.
You're such a potato.
Sorry.
No. So Hecate is the goddess of necromancy and witchcraft and the crossroads, which I think is really interesting. But her story is really interesting because the origin story basically goes that her parents were Perseus, the god of war, and Asteria, the goddess of nocturnal oracles and falling stars.
Asteria.
And Asteria. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. She's beautiful. It's such a beautiful story as well, because they felt, so they were both Titan gods, right? So that is the generation above the Olympians. And when Zeus, and his Olympian army, which was basically his brothers and the people he recruited from the Titans, went to war with the Titans in a struggle. There was a huge struggle between them. The Titans lost because Zeus was clever in who he recruited into his Olympian army. The Titans lost, and all the male Titans were taken to Tartarus, which is like the hell of immortals, and captured there. And the women, even though they were goddesses, were taken as slaves. Asteria, being as powerful and wonderful as she is, foresaw it, because she, is the goddess of nocturnal oracles. So she began to run. And both Poseidon and Zeus pursued her because they both wanted her. She's a powerful goddess and would make a powerful concubine, as they thought. She ran and ran and ran. And she was pregnant with Hecate at the time. She's Hecate's mom.
Okay.
And she went to the river Styx, who was
who was the father in that situation?
Perseus, the god of war. So the Titan god of war. Then, right, of course, the title fell to Ares, who then became the next god of war. But Hecate is a very interesting character, because what basically happens is that her mother gives her to Styx, who is the river Styx that goes into the underworld, that the dead
Styx.
Styx, that's right. And she's also the goddess of hatred. She is one of the few goddesses who, she joins the Olympians, by the way, so she's on the winning side. So Asteria gives Hecate to Styx as a baby and says, I'm going to have to give this baby to you because they're going to take me otherwise. And then she has a choice. She becomes a constellation in the sky, right? So that they can't get to her. But she gives her baby to Styx. And therefore, Hecate has an upbringing of skeletons and of death, and ghosts raise her. And this quite unmaternal mother raises her, Styx. And that's what the play is about. Like the concept of what an unmaternal mother is, and whether such a thing exists, and what is the difference between nature and nurture and all of those things. So Hecate then becomes the goddess of the crossroads and all of those things. And she, at one point, the giants attack Olympus, and the gods can't defeat her. Zeus can't defeat like the giants or anything. So he calls upon, Hecate is the only one who can defeat them. So
sounds a lot like Kali.
Yeah.
Like a shit like Kali.
There's a lot of similarity between Greek and Hindu mythology, which you can draw in the goddesses to see, and the gods to see which ones are quite similar. And it's really interesting. It's really interesting.
That's an interesting choice for you as well, as the goddess that you most align yourself with.
I love I think it's the whole idea of how she is such a mystery. Like even in Greek mythology, like she isn't written off a lot, but when she is written about, there's so much reverence in the way she's written about. And all the stories she's involved in are they're so interesting and slightly different.
Yeah.
You know?
A little bit odd.
That. Yeah. That's the goddess I love most, which is why I'm writing an entire play about her. I think the goddesses who are maligned are the interesting ones, or the ones who are kind of mysterious are the interesting ones to write about. But,
totally. I mean, like my personal thing is that anyone that fucks with the norms is my vibe. I kind of like that.
Absolutely.
full on punks, full on rock and roll. Just you do you, and fucking burn everyone else.
Exactly.
Which is probably why we get on so well, because that's exactly what you do.
Yeah. I think one of the things which I absolutely love is like, randomly you just messaged me and said, hey, I'm in a movie. And I was like, see, this is why we get on. Like, let's just get all of the arts together and do everything. Why not?
Well, totally. And exactly, that's exactly why Mega made that film. I think it's just all the odd motherfuckers and put them in a film together. And there you go.
It's a beautiful film, though. The story's amazing. I really enjoyed it.
I tell you what's fascinating is that the narrative of it is not linear, but it's an interesting structure. And the reviews on IMDb of it, like it charted in Netflix India, it's like number 4 and 3 and stuff like that.
Mm.
But the reviews are just really polar, which is like there's a whole like bunch of people like Abed Diol's in this film, and I don't understand it, and it makes no fucking sense. Where's the action? Where's the entertainment? I just don't get these characters. And the other side is like, oh my god, I've been waiting for this film since I was a fucking kid, and oh my god. And so that polarization is a good thing, because either if you love something or hate it. Hey Anushka, hi.
Hi Anushka.
Hi. The movie I'm talking about, someone's asked, is What Are the Odds by Megha Ramasamy, and it's on Netflix right now, called What Are the Odds, and it's basically like John Hughes meets Wes Anderson in Bombay, but they're doing touchings.
They're doing
because there's a whole load of like, well, I think actually not weirdly, but a lot of the kind of relationship norms that thrown out the window. So the obvious arc of boy meets girl and then this, that, and the other is kind of, it's twisted somewhat in the film, which I really like.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think recently there's a few films that have made me feel really, like, they've really spoken to me. And What Are the Odds was one of them. And I think it's because in a lot of ways, even though that wasn't my childhood, it felt like my childhood. That feeling of nostalgia for even a childhood that wasn't necessarily exactly like mine. I think that is such a beautiful, powerful thing to tap into, and such a success to be able to do. And that film did it beautifully. So
maybe it's not idyllic childhood, or maybe there's a sort of a golden thread of an ideal childhood, including all the heartbreak and including all of that.
Yeah, because there's quite a heartbreaking like story there, like so many of them all woven through, but you get glimpses of it, and you don't even realize what it's telling you until towards the end, when it really hits you hard. It's beautiful.
It's a bit like Amelie meets Scott Pilgrim versus the World, without the sexism.
Yeah, absolutely, without the manic pixie girl, the manic pixie girl,
which I thought was always really odd. But I think that if Scott Pilgrim was a woman, it'd be, I don't know, actually.
I think Vivek is a very interesting character. She's really different, isn't she?
Yeah, there's no real archetype that I can pinpoint.
That's what's amazing about her. There is no archetype that you can kind of go, oh, Vivek is like that. And that's powerful. That in itself is powerful.
I mean, Yashaswini is an amazing actor. She's just incredible.
She's been in a lot of stuff I've recently watched, which I've really liked. And I'm like, this is, wow.
The timing's really odd. And I was thinking about this, and I haven't spoken to Nikesh about this yet, but I think I might. It's just that a lot of sort of big industry steps happen to just be out of luck. So with Yashaswini, hi Jazz from Culture Shops here. Yay, Jazz, she's awesome. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Yashaswini, oh yeah, so she did this role, and then it took years for the film to make it onto Netflix, and then whatever, and then her to get that boost. But there was all this other shit that happened in between that you couldn't predict. And similarly with The Good Immigrant and Riz's career, Riz was doing gangbusters anyway. But the Emmy happened, Star Wars Rogue One happened, and then Good Immigrant happened, then Sweatshop Boys happened for Riz. And it was like, pow, 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 like all in one. And it's like, you couldn't plan that shit like that meticulously. It's just like fucking fire on all guns, you know what I mean? And you must have had that happen to you, surely. Like in terms of making that leap, there's got to be a certain amount of luck that bridged those gaps to help you.
Absolutely. Like I always say I'm really grateful, because it is a matter of luck. And one of the things which I've noticed, and I think we talked about this a while ago, is that I came in onto like social media at a time when algorithms were not controlling what all we saw. It was all very organic. You were able to make audiences and everything like that based on, hey, I put up a piece of art, someone saw it, then someone else saw it, then you know what I mean? And there was none of this stuff that happens on Instagram where it's just like, okay, only 20% of your audience will see it or anything like that. And I think that's
so fascinating, you talking about the good old days of Instagram, because I'm an old fuck. So my good old days are very different to yours. But yeah, sorry.
But it was, I was on Tumblr first. In fact, before that, I was on WordPress and DeviantArt, and like, I've been on the internet for many, many years. And I think the only time
Not as long as me, love. Fuck you. But sorry,
But,
carry on. Keep
but I kind
injecting
of
my nonsense.
watched, I think it was a matter of luck because I kind of, what I like doing is I try to use words in really simple words in complex ways, right? Like you can use a very simple set of words to convey a really complex feeling that you've been waiting to describe your whole life. And that is hard to do. Like I've rewritten this wedding, like the whole day today, I've just been focused on this one poem, which is only a page and a half long. And what I've been trying to do is I'm trying to capture everything that happens in an Indian wedding, all the chaos, all the beauty, all the magic, you know, of my cousin's wedding in like a page and a half. And in that page and a half, the character, because it's based, the character is based off like me, but also my cousin, she sees something and then she's gaslit into thinking she doesn't see it. How do you fit all of that into a page and a half? You know what I mean? And there's a magic to that. And you have to convey it so simply.
Yeah, I think there's an art to stripping away words and making things more succinct that I don't fucking get. And I've been like trying to figure that out just in terms of describing things. It's taken 10 years to get to a point to describe one intention that I had 10 years ago. Hey, Dana's here, Ms. Mohammed. How's it going? Pravi's here. Prav. You've never met Praveen, have you?
No.
Pavan's brother.
No, I haven't met.
He's lovely. When all this lifts, we'll all go out and get like shit faced together.
It'll be amazing. We'll have so much fun.
Totally.
But it's really interesting because there's been this conversation about how there are people who think that accessible literature is just, it's inherently bad because it's simply written. And I strongly disagree with that, because accessible literature leads to an accessible literature, right? The more like accessible literature that exists in this world, the more people can access it. Surely that's not a bad thing.
But I guess that's if you're, especially it's, I guess that's something that a publisher can go back and say, well, we've got our brown quota, we've got our women quota, we've got, you know, those boxes are ticked.
This conversation is really interesting. Like there's like a series of boxes that you need to kind of tick. And I think one of the reasons why I've kind of held back about writing about home and my childhood and all of those,
it's because you'll put you in that fucking box. 100%. I mean, when I was like a young punk, I was always like, well, do I want my work and the work that I support and the people I love to only speak to a minority within a minority? So like within brown people, it's the youth within brown people, which is fuck all people really. Or do you want to speak to everybody and make it accessible to everyone? And so another thing that I said was that it's great if you create a platform for a minority, but as soon as you ring fence it, it becomes a ghetto. So you're fucked, basically. You're just fucked from the outset. So that whole idea of being able to speak to everyone with nuance and get your point across is the fucking key.
Yeah. I think it's...
So I completely agree with you. Yeah.
But it's also mastering the language, right? Like you have to kind of reach a point where you go, I'm now ready to tell this story. And I now have the language to tell this story. So when you write, like for me, writing has always been, okay, I'm not ready to tell the story of my childhood yet. I'm not ready. And now with this book, which is like the 5th book, I think, I'm ready to tell the story. And I'm ready to, I think I've got the language to be able to tell the story. So when my editors read it, they were like, oh, wow. Like this is a story about grandmothers and mothers and daughters and like being South Asian and being queer and all of those things. And it all comes together. There's so much that happens in this book. And it all comes together at the very end, back into the cyclic, you know, the lessons you learn and the lessons you impart onto the next generation. And it's been a story that has been percolating for so long that it wrote itself. It's the longest book I've written, but so much happens in it. My editor told me that like she literally read it in less than a day, even though it's 350 pages long.
I mean, she's a fucking editor. She's used to reading lots of words, surely.
Yeah.
But I mean, not to take away from the rivetingness of the stuff you wrote. I'm just saying that's her job, right? So
no. It's good. It's good. It's just been a hard time to write the book because there's a pandemic on, and you're just like, you're, it's funny because I think every artist I've spoken to has kind of gone, this is such a strange time that the art I'm creating has changed because the way I view the world has changed. And it's really interesting to be having those conversations, because on the other side of this, after experiencing this, I wonder how art in general is going to change and how everyone's art is going to kind of move from this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing about this pandemic is that it's odd because you've been asked to be still. So it then allows your mind to go into all the other shit that is still a problem. It's not as if the pandemic's overwritten all the other shit in the world. It's just another piece of shit. Like, it's overarching, sure, but those problems haven't gone away. They haven't been washed away by this. You know what I mean? So I think that, I mean, the news, if we're going to go there, the news is awful. You know what I mean? That there's other terrible shit happening apart from the obvious viral news. Viral meaning the pandemic. And so this is a really odd way of saying it, but the cause of art isn't going to shift to just being the pandemic.
Yeah, I
I
think what I was trying to say is that having lived through something like this and seeing the world for what it is, you know what I mean? Like this, like you said, it's a question of being still. It's a question of like slowly, like kind of trying to understand how this world actually functions. And that, you know, initially there were a lot of people going, when we go back to normal. In fact, even I said that. And then I was like, wait, normal? Do you remember what normal was? Because normal wasn't a very fair place.
Did you and I have this conversation where I was just like, dude, and everyone's, I mean, I'm going to give an opposing viewpoint, which is like, normal's been constantly shifting. We just haven't fucking noticed it. We had that conversation, right? I was like, there is no fucking normal. Like, every single day, shit changes, but just gradually in ways you don't notice until you're fucked. It's that whole old analogy of being a frog in a pot on a hot plate, and you turn the water up gradually, and before you know it, you're boiling.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like, so I'm not so sure that, you know, that there ever was a normal, quite frankly. But then I'm an evil bastard, so whatever the fuck.
No. You're absolutely right, because I think most of my adult life, we've not really known, like, one of my earliest memories of my childhood was 9/11, you know, and then 9/11 happened, and then the world changed, and then the economic crash happened, and then the world changed. And, you know, coming from Delhi, there were always things like bomb scares happening, you know, like I'll never forget M Block Market. We were in the middle of M Block Market in Delhi, which was like such a hang for all of us, because it was like filled with like all the love. It was like a proper treat to go there, because there's a McDonald's there and all sorts. And yeah, we were having lunch, and like suddenly the cops came out, and they were like, okay, everyone has got to leave because there's a bomb scare here. And I think I must have been about 15 or 16. And we all hopped into one of my friends' like, you know, cars, and his mom came to get us, and we all left. But it had become so normal, something like that happening. Our school, you know, on more than one occasion, we had been sent home because there was a bomb scare. Like, it was so normal for us to go through that when we came here, and that it wasn't a norm when I came here for something like that to happen. Like, people went into proper furor when there was a bomb scare. That it just occurred to me how many different realities everyone lives in, and how many different normals there are. Like, normal for me was not normal for a kid over here.
Totally. And I think you're right in terms of things just progressing and changing and adapting. But I think, again, and I'm sure I've mentioned this to you, that I think that we're all very forgetful people. So I don't think we learn lessons very rapidly at all. I think we're all just, so in a way, like, I'm, for example, going to go back to being a dickhead drunk in East London as soon as possible. There's no progress there at all.
Well, that can't change. Like, I can't allow that to change, because
or in Bandra in Bombay, but you know, same.
Yeah, someone said resiliency plays a big role too, and this is absolutely true. We are a remarkably resilient species, and I think that's what gets us through a lot. But that there's also, I was thinking about this, but there's also the danger of just becoming used to things, right? Things go, you know, when something really bad happens, and you just, you kind of go, okay, this is new normal now, and you just live through it and you accept it.
Do you know what though? I personally find it a labor to relive shit again. Like even trauma, like I'd rather digest that shit, absorb it, and spit it out as bullets than to have to constantly go over it in some labored fucking fashion.
You're right.
And I don't think that, for me anyway, I'm not talking about anyone else, but that helps me just funnel that into like that, I guess, the punk archetype, and like say Shiva, Kali, or your favorite goddess whose name I forget, hippopotamus. No, Hecate. Yeah, it's not the hippopotamus.
Don't
what I say.
Hippopotamus.
Okay, Hecate. But I quite like that whole like fuck this shit, punk approach to things, because I personally, I think the over analysis makes me inert.
Yeah.
And I think the like inertia is my biggest fucking enemy. Unless I'm happy sat here playing Fortnite or some shit, that inertia is fine. But at least I'm virtually moving.
Yeah.
So listen, what is this book you're writing? Because I totally thought it was a different book.
So it's a novel in verse, and it is about a Kashmiri girl called Paro, who is visited by all the gods and goddesses of Hindu mythology.
So it's them combined. Fuck.
Yeah,
okay, fine. Okay.
It's an interesting story, because it follows her life, and where all the way to when she comes to the UK, and to study, and what happens.
So it's an autobiographical story, essentially.
Somewhat, yeah.
So this is basically you projecting yourself, using this goddess that you love into your character.
Yeah. I mean, it's something authors do. We kind of use the devices which are available to us to tell the stories we need to tell. And I wanted to tell this story from the perspective of a Kashmiri girl who kind of, has had to move to Delhi. And then the idea of being read to has always been so wonderful to me. Being read to, when you're a child and someone reads a story to you or tells you a story, those stories are the things that make you the person that you are, like the story about Miss Kalia, which I was just telling you. These are the things that make you who you are. And I think there's something really powerful about stories within stories. So that's what this book is.
What's the princess from Arabian Nights? Nazreen? What's her name?
Sherazad.
Sherazad, that's right. I don't know why Nazreen came to her head.
all the things about the folklores.
This is why I like you so much. We sit there and it's like, tell me more. Tell me more stories, please. That's awesome.
Oh, someone's asking, can you save this? You save your lives, don't you?
Huh?
You save
all the lives get saved. Yeah. They're on my hidden YouTube channel, which no one knows about. You have to dig. But
I know his YouTube channel.
It's secret. There's all sorts of weird shit on there. Just to warn you. Just like these conversations, they're not all wholesome and lovely. A lot of them are just nonsense. But with people that have a lot of substance, I'm very blessed. Very, very blessed. But this whole idea of becoming going from or becoming an author, and this is a shit question, and I know you've had it a lot, but how exactly did that happen? Like, how did that leap happen? What was the first switch from being that person? Hang on a second. What did Anushka say? Just this interview led my 9-year-old and I to post.
Oh, my heart! I'm gonna cry. Can you
Bailey, okay. So sorry. You please continue.
Can I just say, can you give your baby a big hug, Anushka, please? That means a lot to hear. Like, it really does. Always when it's little kids who read. I'm sorry. I'm getting all emotional now.
That's so sweet. Bailey's reminded me. Bailey, amazing presenter and DJ. I love you, Bailey. Reminded me to reintroduce this lovely lady and what the hell I'm talking about. This is Nikita Gill, the wonderful Nikita Gill, poet, esteemed author, and dear drinking partner of mine. And we are talking about her work, and just actually as if we're in a bar in East London having a drink, talking shit.
Yes.
This is exactly what we do.
This is exactly what we do, and we chat for hours. It's so much fun.
We talk about everything from sex toys to deities to diarrhea, and they're all not linked. Just to
No.
clarify that.
No, they're not linked.
Yes. Anushka, that was so sweet. That's nuts.
I'm just
sorry.
I'm super.
Hi. We got booted. Hopefully, she'll rejoin us. Let's see. So yeah. Ah, she's lovely, isn't she? Nikita Gill. She's great. Thank you for rejoining. I keep forgetting we have an hour limit to this. So, Nikita, can you request me again? Please, I want your friendship. Request. Yeah. Is she gonna? There's 3 people requesting. And Nikita has requested also. There we go.
Yes.
Hi!
Oh,
That was incredible. Just as we were getting really deep, it's like an hour's gone already. Can you believe that?
I know. This happens all the time, though. Like, whenever we hang out, like, time just gone. And then I have to catch the train home.
I mean, you live in the fucking middle of nowhere. That's why. And we're like out getting trashed. And like, I have to go now. And I'm like, okay, I'm alone. Like, thanks. In fact, fuck you. We're never hanging out again because you keep ditching me. You basket.
Hey, listen, I was actually going to move before all of this happened. I was going to get a couple of properties and everything, and then this happened. So
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
hoping by the beginning of May, I would be in a different place. So that was that.
1 second. Someone's cussing my beard. Hang on a second.
Who's
I am
attacking your
Govin
beard?
Sharma. Dude, this is my hairy triangle. At least I've got my own, you know what I'm saying, bro? So, Obi is saying, please say hi to me. Say hi to Obi.
Hi, Obi.
Hi. So thank you for rejoining us. This is like, you know, we hit this amazing hour-long chat. And my dear friend, DJ Bailey, from One Extra and Metalhead's amazing drum and bass DJ and presenter, was like, reintroduce this lovely woman and what you're talking about. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the wonderful Nikita Gill, esteemed poet, writer, and author and general badass. And also she's built like a fucking tree. So when we go out, she has to sort of bend over like a giraffe taking a sip of water to talk to me. And I just worry that her whole center of gravity will fuck up and she'll tumble. And I'll be there catching her and shit.
It is funny.
It's because it's true. It's true. It's true. But yes. Yeah, so Anushka sent that message about how her son was watching this and it inspired him to read your book, which was lovely.
Oh, although I'm like, we're swearing in front of a 9-year-old.
I was just going to say, I'm just like effing and blinding. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So cute. That just makes my day.
Equally, guys, if you've got anything to say or any comments or any questions for Nikita, hit the little question mark button next to the comment box, and you can ask questions and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, I really can't wait to go out and talk shit again. I know I've said this a million times in our conversation, but...
No, but we're going to have so much fun. Like, I swear to God, one of the things this has taught me is, like, all of those evenings with my friends, like, even with Selena Gotten, who is just a queen. I just love her so much. And all of you, like you, Nikesh and Anushka and Riz, like, it was, like, I just cherish those evenings so much more. I already love them so much. Right?
I forgot Selena was there that night as well.
Oh my God, that was such a good time. We had so much fun in Amber
We kidnapped you for fucking hours. Between me and Selena, you had to stay out. That was amazing.
I was just supposed to do a radio show that day with Selena and go home for like 7 or something. Instead, I was like out till the next day.
Amazing. Right, so here's a question from someone which is quite appropriate. Dogs or cats? Cats. Dogs or cats?
Dogs or cats? Well, I have 2 cats, but I also live with a dog. So, cats.
I mean, there you go. What's your favorite book?
Do you know, it's hard. Like, asking a writer their favorite book is like asking...
That's bollocks. You could ask me who my favorite musician is, and it's right on my chest.
it's Prince. Like, I don't know. I think it's hard to choose my favorite book always, but I think the book that I always tend to go back to all the time is Emily Dickinson's collected works. And I think the reason why I connect so much with Emily Dickinson particularly is because she was a woman who just sat in a room, like, because she didn't go out much, she never got married, she didn't do any of those things. She just sat in her room and she wrote poetry.
Did she have a demon as a mate that she went out drinking with in East London? Because then the similarities are fucking uncanny.
I just think that maybe she did, because look at all the poetry that she wrote. You would never think that she was just a woman sitting in her room writing all of that stuff. She writes a lot about windows and rooms, and I think it's because she spends so much time just sitting in a room. And I think what's beautiful is about her story is that she became like the mother of modern poetry, but in her lifetime, only 9 of her poems were published.
Okay.
And she asked her sister to burn all her poetry books, like all of the books that she wrote, all of her life's work. She asked her sister to burn it all up. But her sister, luckily for all of us, was really disobedient and went, nah, actually, I'm going to take all of your work and get it published. And she lives on.
Did her sister thief her money as well?
That's true. Emily Dickinson also struggled with mental illness, like very much like a lot of writers and poets. We all tend to go through some hard stuff. Oh, that's true. Anais! I love Anais. She's just joined us.
Sweet. There's an interesting question here. Sorry, I'm just burping like a bastard. You could tell this isn't a proper interview. How did you build such a wonderful, powerful network of friends and like-minded creatives? And I was going to say that actually freaks just tend to find each other.
It's true.
And I think Nikesh puts this in the forward to The Good Immigrant. There's this one paragraph in The Good Immigrant where it's like, oh, all of you, when going into media meetings, like, all of you brown people must know each other. And it's like, secretly, we do. there is a secret cabal of like brown motherfuckers that are creative that all fucking know each other. Because there are so few of us. It's just like, yo, we have to kind of find each other through, you find your odd squad, you find your weirdos.
You do, and it's funny because there's this in literature, people keep calling it a trope, the trope of found family, but it's true. You're born into a family who's your blood, and you will always be related to those people, and they're
for good or bad, or for fucking whatever.
Exactly. But then you go out into the world and you find people who are like you, who are like, and those are the people who become your family, that you meet and you get to know and you fall in love with. So
see, yeah. I fucking hate that word family. Honestly, I got to be honest with you. Like,
why?
Because
you have issues with weird things.
I know.
I don't like the word family.
Yeah, but when I describe my friends or people that I'm close to entirely, family doesn't really fit it for me. I think it's just maybe I'm a hippie. Shit, I was gonna say some shit about hippie. Fuck. No, I'm not. I'm a punk. Through and through.
I knew that would get under your skin if I said that to you.
I was gonna talk about like sort of universality and sort of common ground, all this kind of stuff. But actually, I just think the phrase family is a weird one for me personally. But I think the people that I'm closest to wouldn't be family, so that's probably why I have a reluctance to define it in those parameters. And you're right. Exactly. In fact, Hama here just now says because family just isn't freaky enough.
Word kin is a good word. I love that, Anais. Kin is a good word.
Kin.
I think we all find our own language to describe the people that you feel most connected to, don't we? Like you said, freaks find each other. We all find our own language to describe the people we love. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, brown punks and weirdos and freaks and totally.
Misfits, yes!
Misfit sounds a bit like when you can't put the sort of square block in the round shape. It sounds a little bit dim-witted. I'd like to think we're quite fast-witted.
We are
somewhat.
quite we're quite different. We're weird people, but weird people are great because we need lots of weirdos in this world.
That's true. There's a great question here, actually, which I can't find, but I'll paraphrase what it is. Sorry for whoever asked it. I can't give you credit for it. But what would be a good entry point into mythology?
So
Because
there are
for me,
lots of great.
for me, it was Neil Gaiman and
Yes,
Sandman.
yes. I was
For me
going to
personally,
say like, I think for me it was Stephen Fry's, for Greek mythology specifically, it was Stephen Fry's Mythos, which I read, which is quite a light-hearted read and quite a light read into Greek mythology. But if you're asking about Norse mythology, I would say, Neil Gaiman wrote Norse Mythology, which is a great book. I really enjoyed that. And also, we need more weirdos in this world, Nikita 2020. That's right, the Poets Playground, it's true. Um, but yeah, I think Sandman, because it's a graphic novel, because it's such an interesting, different kind of book. And he kind of plays with this notion that either we are all wrong about every god and every religion is wrong, or everyone's correct. So everyone's in that book. Do you know what I mean? And I found that a fascinating concept.
That's interesting. I never connected that the everyone was wrong or everyone's right thing. I
Yeah.
thought it was much more a libertarian point of view. No, a more anarchic point of view is whatever you believe is true.
Absolutely.
Or more individualistic.
Yeah.
But then, have you heard the audiobook?
I haven't yet. Riz is in it, isn't it?
Riz plays the Corinthian, who has been
so
in my fucking dreams, right? So just for those that don't know, the Corinthian is a character. Did Neil Gaiman make up the Corinthian, or is he from mythology?
Do you know, I think I
thought it was a new
haven't
character.
I wonder if it is, because I think he's an amalgamation of different things.
Okay.
So I don't know.
I'm looking it up right now.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I
So there's the Corinthians in the Bible, obviously.
right.
But the Corinthian as a character was someone that had teeth as eyes, and he was created from the realm of nightmare.
Yeah.
And he would cut out people's eyeballs and eat them.
Yeah.
And then project their visions of their own, not their worst fears. That's a bit of a trope and a cliche, but project their own, what they consume through their eyes back at them.
Yes.
And it's fucking terrifying. Like, he's just the most terrifying character, and Riz is his voice. And as a comic book nerd, the speech bubbles for the Corinthian character in the book were like jaggedy and fucked up because he speaks from his eyes because they're teeth.
Exactly. I think what Neil Gaiman does really well is that he's able to take nightmare fuel and make you kind of empathize with characters who would be from your worst nightmares, and you're just like, why am I empathizing with this character?
And you know what? In fact, I think that's exactly how I met deities like Bast or other sort of deities from different mythology, was through Gaiman.
It's true. He does that thing really well where you can really relate to his work. It's a graphic novel, but I think it broke boundaries because people weren't taking, like, I think all new forms of fiction or art, any kind of art, they go through this process of a whole bunch of other artists who are working in other more traditional genres going, this is shit. What is this new fanangled crap? This is not art. It's not art. And then, Neil Gaiman's Sandman came out, and it is absolutely a piece of literary gorgeousness.
It was the first graphic novel to win a literary award.
That's it.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But also it featured S&M. It featured like characters that were not gendered. It featured so many different things. There were very few black people in it, I've got to say, on reflection.
Well, the time when that book came out, there are a few things in there which I also was like, oh, that's a bit transphobic. And I kind of have had to look at it.
We discussed that. That.
Yeah.
The moon journey in the Doll's House. Which book was it?
Yeah, it was the fifth one or the fourth one, wasn't it?
I thought it was towards the end when Thessaly does the moon journey and a transvestite character can't follow because they weren't born as a female, and therefore don't have a genuine connection to the moon.
And I found I found that like that was hard for me to read because
I think it was The Doll's House. Sorry, I'm just nerding out. I apologize.
No. It's great. It's honestly, if you go back into it, it's such a journey because then you retrace your steps back. But yeah, it was. So when I look at those books, I love them, but I also realize that they are books of their time, and there are things in there which, because those things make you aware of what you don't want to do in your own work, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to alienate people. You don't want people to feel offended. And you don't want people to feel like they don't count. Like that's something which I really try to do in my work is I don't want people to feel like because of who they are, they don't count.
Yeah.
You know,
you don't want to subtract them, basically.
Yeah. Everyone is valuable.
Which is which again, I guess that's the not the problem, but the thing of wanting to create art that appeals to everybody as much as possible. Because you don't want to just.
I mean, I think it'll always be polarizing, the art that you create and the older you get, the more you want to create art which is unusual and unique and doesn't necessarily relate to every person in the world, but is really honest and authentic. But at the same time, you want people to look at it and see themselves in it, right? So that's the line you have to toe as an artist. And I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I think the reason for it to happen is probably a major part of it. Like the purpose. The reason why I say that is because here's a question.
Oh, what comes first, plot or character?
From Verma. Anisha Verma, there you go.
So for my current book, which I wrote, the character came first. And I don't know whether this is going to be with the process with every book, because I try to treat every book like I look at my books like they're my children. And every single child is different, right? Every person is different, so every book is different. But for this book, the character came first. I said that I wanted to tell the story of a Kashmiri girl who was visited by the gods and told stories. You know, goddesses really, more than the gods, and told stories. So, yeah.
That's kind of what I meant by purpose, I guess, was the reason for it to be is probably actually the point of the character, right? The character's purpose and the reason for the character to exist.
I think it's something that Nikesh said, which really, really hit me. Like we've been doing these writing clinics on Mondays on my Instagram, and we kind of spoke about how every character that you create for a story, even if it's a secondary character, even if it's a character who's just there for like about 5 minutes, you have to understand that they are existing, or you have to think of them like they are existing in their own book or their own sitcom. And every now and then their sitcom or book clashes with your character's book. So you have to think of them as they're having their own lives, own stories, and you have to like treat those characters like that.
Because they've got their own worlds they come from, right? Because that's how people live.
Exactly. And the glimpses you give into that world are what makes successful secondary characters. I think that's amazing.
That is interesting. There's a bit of a sort of discussion not raging in the comments, but that's begun. That stoked those fires like a proper shit stirrer. But they were talking about sort of problematic. Hey, Pavan, how's it going, bruv? Yeah. Yes. Talk about creating art out of fucking mythology. There you go.
Oh, a proper god. One of my favorite blue gods.
Demigod. Like like Demi Moore. But way less talented. No, I'm joking.
Hey! Don't be mean to Pavan.
No, I love Pavan.
We all love Pavan.
Actually, speaking of which, Odd God. That is excellent. Odd God is the one.
Godball.
God, this is fucking brilliant. God, but by the way, everyone check out Pavan's stuff. He's in the things. PAV4N. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Proper good.
So good. Like,
So,
amazing.
so Hummer here said something which was fascinating, was that how do you deal with problematic artists that have bad histories of misogyny, of sexual assault, of all these things? And then people are like, well, artists are separate to their work and so on and so forth. So that's an interesting topic, I think.
I think a lot of people are going to get annoyed when I say this, but whenever and I find out that a usually male artist who I used to admire is actually really problematic and all of those things, I go and find 5 women artists who have not had, you know, the kind of success that that artist has had and probably deserves that success, and big them up and read them and shout about them. And I do that because I just think that that male artist problematicness or whatever has overshadowed, like his so-called genius has overshadowed so many other brilliant marginalized artists who probably deserve to be shouted about, and kind of, you know, their work is so important. So I try to do that every time, and I stop looking at, and believe me, there is no dearth of great artists out there. The only difference is that, you know, there's some artists you hear about because of luck, and there's some artists you don't.
Fuck,
So,
that's
yeah,
a great response. That's an amazing response. That's wicked.
I try to kind of, because I've been through this whole thing in my head, right? Like, can you separate art from artist and all? I'm like, well, there's so many great artists out there. Why not just go and look at different art? Why not shout about different art? Like, that's just me.
Yeah. Holy shit, that's amazing. I don't know what to ask now. I mean, please continue talking. That's just fucking incredible.
Well, I try really hard, but it is, you know, it is going to be a change in the way that we see things collectively for this conversation to take it to the next level. For me, this is the next level. The next level is to see and to bring out lots of other artists who are not getting the attention that they deserve, whose art is interesting and significant and, you know, is decolonizing the industry. Like, we should be bigging those artists up. Like, it's also something which I kind of believe I'm wasting so much time thinking about this artist who I admired who's really problematic when I could be looking at new art. What's the point? He's problematic. I've already seen what I wanted to in that art.
So it's done, move on, and like elevate other people. You know what's interesting? That sort of that vacuum or that kind of fuel to the fire should be given to other people. That's fucking amazing, Nikita. What a great answer. Shit. I want to do shots of tequila with you. That's amazing.
Yay! We should do that. We should absolutely do that. I've been trying. I can't talk a lot about the projects I've been doing, but I've been doing a lot of projects to big other poets, like, or you know, to showcase other poets' work. And that's a lot of like what I want to do is give back to the poetry community. So I have these projects which are coming out. You know about it already. A good thing, as they say. But
you did a good thing. Yes.
Yeah, a good thing.
Totally. There's the other thing. There's the other thing. There's a question here which is interesting from Sincerely Blue Jay, which is that how you feel about your own work? That it's been overshadowed while also being overshadowing. But I think you kind of answered that by supporting other motherfuckers.
Yeah, I try very hard, like especially with the new projects that I'm kind of working on, is they're all about supporting young poets. How do I give back to the poetry kind of community, and how do I introduce people to other poets' work? Like, I think once you have some success, it is your duty to like bring up other people with you. Like, it just is. I don't know why there are people out there who don't believe it is, but it is your duty. It is your responsibility.
Dude, is my video blurry?
It is slightly blurry. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'll do, I'll call you. I'm gonna go and take a leak and then call you right back.
Okay.
Again.
Bye.
Hey, hi, we're back. I feel refreshed, suitably. Hi, Chitra. Great name. Hi, Nikita. Oh, Nikita's here. Wicked. Request me. Request my friendship. There we go. Hi, Rono. How's it going?
And we're back.
We're back. I love this. This really is like being in a bar. I just keep running off to the loo, take a leak, come back, and we reconvene. It's
you
lovely.
do have the bladder of a squirrel. It's true.
Dude, I have the bladder of a 5-year-old's fist. Tiny.
It's true.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think this will be the last sort of round of chat. I'll let you get on, and I need to go have dinner and stuff. But I wanted to say thank you for joining me at least, and thanks for sharing that wonderful bit of information and wisdom. That was awesome.
It's something which I really had to come to. You know, when you a lot of your faves suddenly turn out to be really problematic, you go through a bit of an existential crisis, right? You're just like, oh, my heart. And I was like, well, there has to be a way to turn this into something positive. And that was the thing which I landed on, you know?
Yeah. That's fucking awesome. What a great solution to a really horrible problem. And by the way, if anyone's got a question, hit the question mark button very quickly, because I need to sort of not drink Jack Daniels and go have some water and other beverages and stuff. In fact, what are your plans this evening, Nikita? You go back to writing and editing?
Yes, I am on deadline. So this final draft of the book has to go in on the 3rd, and the illustrations have to go in on the 8th, because I illustrate all my own work. So yeah.
That's what I was going to say, actually. Like, to illustrate and then write your own shit is nuts. Like, surely that's double deadlines. And therefore, do you get paid twice as much?
No. In fact, I don't think, like, I'm very lucky in my editor and the person that I have working for me, working with me, and all the people that I work with. But I think that people don't really understand how much authors are actually paid, because we aren't paid very much. We make 7.5 to 10% of the asking price of a book. We have like about 15% of our earnings held back, in case there are returns. And our advances are quite small. So I think people have this quite romanticized view of being a writer, and like how, you'll make lots of money, and
like, not everyone's J.K. Rowling. Like, it's a lot of difficult work.
It's a lot of hustle and a lot of work and a lot of you're constantly, like, I think I've constantly been writing and on tour for 4 years straight now. Like, I've not had a holiday or breaks or anything. And I think, like, there's going to be like a time that's going to come, and it's fine, because I love my work and I love my craft. So I'm happy to give, but there's also, it's so necessary, and I've had to learn this the hard way, to take the time back and take time to, like, just sit and think and percolate, and then come out with your newest piece of work. Because I think that is so necessary, because you need to learn from all of what you've done. And if you're constantly on the go, you don't have time to learn anything.
Do you not write on the road and use that experience as well?
A
lot of musicians would do that on tour, for example. They'd write their album while on tour or whatever. I
do. It's true. I'm constantly writing. I don't think I can go to bed without writing something every day, and it's just a part of it's a habit. Like, I think Philip Pullman said that a lot of people think that a lot of good books come from inspiration, but you'd be amazed at how many books habit has written.
There's a fascinating, terrible, terrible thing that I read in a book called Kill Your Friends, which is basically like American Psycho meets the music industry of the 1990s.
Wow.
And it basically paraphrases, it's by, I forget his name, shit. I want to say Nevin. Whatever. But the point is, it basically says, like, talent is fuck all. It's about the will to want to get it through. Everyone has fucking talent, but you can't sell talent. You need someone that's willing to go through hell to make a fucking breakfast morning interview to make it. It's kind of fucked that actually that amount of just sheer will can override talent.
It is incredible. And it's also knowing, like, it's something which I have to keep telling people. The world isn't fair, and if you are a queer young woman, young brown woman, you are going to have to work extremely hard. It doesn't matter if you are the most talented person in the world. You are going to have to work so hard to get to where you want to go. And even then, it will take you 20 years to get there. You have to be willing, like you have to know this before you go
to take that
into it.
shit. Just
And you can't give up. You just can't give up. It's not, if you love what you do, there is no question. And you will have to give those 20 years. I was 12 when I started writing. 12. My first book was published when I was 29. And honestly speaking, or 28. But yeah, and I consider myself very lucky because I have friends who've published their first books when they were 40. After being writers since they were 10 years old.
Yeah.
You just can't give up. That's how much work you got to give to your craft. It's just, there's no question. And you will find there's other stuff which will come up against you, right? Culturally, you will be told that at least I know this, that, you know, writing wasn't a stable career. Art isn't a stable career. You know this. You know, you're going to have to fight against people who are your parents, your grandparents, or the people who are constantly telling you, become a doctor, become a lawyer, become something sensible, right? But yeah, you fight against all of that. And you can't give up. You can't say, oh, life's not fair, so I'll just do whatever someone else has told me is a better career for me. That's what it takes.
Were you also like I know you were a bit like freakish in school, but I guess did that reflect to your social circles as well? Or were you incredibly popular and then had to sort of deck out? Or were you always the freak?
Not a popular. I was always the freak. And I think I was always a bit of a loner, and I liked being a loner because I think it gave me a more honest view of everything that I saw around me. There were a lot of cliques in school, and I think I could only see the cliques for what they were because I was on the outside looking in. So I didn't really, it wasn't bad being a loner, if you know what I
totally.
You know what I mean.
I think if you're on the fringe of everything, you don't have to like get sunk by any scene. You could just do fucking whatever you want to. It's kind of liberating.
Exactly. And if you're able to, if you observe, if you're always on the outside, you become an observer. And that's what makes you a writer, right? Is that you're being able to see things that other people aren't because they're inside those things.
Have you ever had a situation where like you being a writer has affected that? So there's this whole old adage that in a scientific situation, if you're observing an experiment, the act of observation is going to inherently change that experiment. So has anyone like said, fuck, Nikita's here, we don't want to hear because she's going to use us for material. We can't talk about this because Nikita's here and she's a bastard and she's going to write about us.
Do you know, I don't think people in school knew I was a writer.
Oh, not in school. I mean, everyday fucking life from then to now.
So yeah, I think I'm lucky because all of my friends are artists and all of us have this inherent, we know that something someone says is going to end up in someone's art, someone's music, someone's drawing, someone's book. And it's great. Like, it's fine. This is like the unwritten rule, right? Like, we're all going to, it's what, like back in the day, all of the artists used to hang out together and they all knew that this was going to happen.
Really? I mean,
you
really?
are going to be in my book. And
you can fuck right off. Honestly, when Nikesh put me in Good Immigrant, I was fucking shocked because that literally happened. And I was like, mate, fuck. I was quite flattered, but I was like, mate, what? And I was like, okay, shit, what else is going to put in there? But we kind of understand what's going to be put out there and what isn't, right?
Yeah, of course, like there are rules to all of this stuff, right? Like I have rules like...
They are unwritten, though.
If someone has not ever hurt me and someone's been good to me, or the relationship has changed into something empowering and something good, I won't write about them in a negative way ever. Like, I just, you know, and also I think I'm kind of bored of writing that kind of portrays people as really negative without giving them any nuance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no such thing as a villain kind of person. All your villains have entire backstories and lives and trauma processed wrong that has made them make choices that have seemed villainous at the time. And that's so much more interesting.
And so why is it that villains are often more attractive than heroes? Is that what it is?
That is what it is. I think villains are relatable in the fact that we all somewhere along the way process trauma wrong, right? We're all complex creatures. And I think what's interesting about villains is that we identify with the decisions that they take. Because all of us have made mistakes. All of us have broken someone's heart. All of us have hurt people without realizing the damage that we're doing.
And then yet get hurt as well at the same time. So it's never black or white. There's like a nuance in it, right?
Exactly. I think that there needs to be more of a discussion about where does a villain come from. And, you know, like we talk about the hero origin story, we talk about the villain origin story. And what's really interesting is how many times the villain and the hero origin story could be exactly the same, but the villain chooses things wrong.
But then those tropes can be like, you know, you've got the typical sort of trope where the protagonist meets his dark reflection antagonist. And you know what? I hate talking about this, but, and again, moving the bar in popular culture, all those things, but Black Panther nailed it.
Oh yeah.
In terms of how they presented the antagonist, the protagonist, and the whole structure around it was extremely well done.
Exactly. It was so powerful because you can't, the whole point is, and I think this for me with the play, because the play was Hira's story, right? And she is not a character that people sympathize with. She's portrayed as evil and petty. And the thing is, I didn't want to go up on stage with that story and go, everyone needs to feel sorry for me. She had to take ownership for what she did. And she does. She goes, yes, I was evil. Yes, I was wicked. Yes, I did bad things. And I don't feel sorry for them.
Yeah, I'll own that shit.
Yeah, but I own that shit until the very end when she realizes there is a better way to live life. And that redemption arc that a villain goes through, that fascinates me. Is there a chance for someone who has done some really evil things to go back and become a good person? And we leave the play there, don't we? That she's gone away. She's left all of that power, the thing that she coveted most in the world. It isn't fulfilling to her anymore.
Yeah. I guess you can always walk away from everything. You know what I mean? But again, some may, I'm not saying your play or that story, but some may say that, well, that's just resignation. You know what I mean? That's not really a true conclusion. That's just like, well, you can walk away from fucking anything.
Yeah, but I think the way that the story had ended originally was that she goes away and she starts a women's shelter because she spends so much time in the story punishing women that her redemption comes in that she starts a women's shelter for abused women who are, you know, victimized and who are tormented and who have been through hell. And kind of starts giving back to the world by, you know,
finding her kin.
Yeah.
Like we discussed. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The word kin came to my head. I was like, kin.
Kin, that's it. That's the word.
Shit.
Yeah. I think this is there's so much to be said about how we humanize villains, which makes them easier to understand and therefore changes the way we perceive them.
Because I think you must have felt this too, is that it's very easy, like the propensity for you as Nikita, as you, to become a bad guy would be awesomely easy. Like, it'd be just so easy to slip into the villainous role. Like, yeah, I'd be a fucking great villain.
Yeah. You did do some villainous things in the movie.
No, not at all. I can't believe you're like, that was an expert deflection. That was like a block and deflection back to me, you bastard. Fuck off. I was not an evil character in that film. No,
you weren't evil, but you did do one villainous thing.
What?
You told two little girls off.
I'd fucking do that now. Are you kidding me? Like, you come into a club that I'm running and you're fucking 15. Mate, fuck off. That's not villainous. That's just like regular shit. That's what I do on the regs. That's why it was so easy for me to say to them, listen, piss off.
That's right.
fuck off out of here.
Yeah. Piss off. I thought that was one
That's
of my
not
favorite
villainous.
scenes in the movie.
That's like honesty. Like, you're underage, mate. Fuck off out of it. That's not villainous. That's just a function of actual licensing laws in the UK. You bastard. How dare you call me up on that? That's not villainous. I mean, you know my actual villainy and you're calling me out on that. Fuck off. Bakwas. What is that?
The comment section. I love the comment section. Everyone is laughing.
Listen, I'd happily tell people to piss off, especially if they're underage. I'm like, listen, mate, fuck off at this club. This isn't for your eyes, love. Ja, tuja, get away from here.
And you come across as the kind of guy that people would go to, like going, Nerm, do you know where the party's at? Like when they were like, when you were 16, I bet everyone used to come up to you and go, Nerm, do you know where the party's at?
It flipped for sure. Yeah, that definitely happened. People did come up to me. One thing that was beautiful was that through growing up in England and all that horrible racist shit that happened pre-96, 97 was a real watershed moment where, like, being Asian in Britain flipped to being the hottest accessory on someone's arm. It was amazing. It was just like a whole transformation from being like punched to like, look at me. It was fucking amazing. It was amazing. But then, you know, there were people at college or whatever that would bully me or whatever. And then suddenly, and this is a shitty story, so I don't mean to brag about this, but like then going to clubs where I was DJing and turning up in like chupples and a t-shirt and like baggy trousers and everyone's in shirts just walking in and people being like, no, can you get us guess this? I was like, sorry. And then walking in, there was a kind of satisfaction in that.
Well, it is.
Little bit of satisfaction, I've got to admit.
And you're allowed to feel like that after years and years of feeling oppressed and being treated like shit.
But the weirdness that made us different was suddenly a currency. Suddenly it made you fucking great, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, all the shit all the normal people called you out for was suddenly like justified. It's like,
I mean, there's a really powerful moment in this book, which I'm writing right now, and it's a poem about colorism. So my main character is light-skinned, so she benefits, right? And in India, you have all of these like fairness creams and Fair and Lovely and everything. And the girl that she is with is really beautiful girl, but she's got a darker skin tone than her. And she calls out the main character and she tells her off and she says, you don't know what it's like. You know, because she says something to the effect of
are they obviously get in conflict because they're in a same-sex relationship as well.
There's a lot,
I imagine.
There's a lot going on over there, and I think like the main character basically turns around and says something like, you know, something, because she's 16 or 15 and she just turns around and she says, oh yeah, I love you, because this character is saying you don't know what it's like to have your mother leave a fairness cream on your table, like, you know, or your aunties constantly commenting on the fact that you're dark, you know, and therefore you won't be able to find, you're not beautiful and things like that. You don't understand how hard that is. And she kind of turns around to her and she says, well, I love you despite that. And she turns around and she says, that's the problem. That is the problem. I don't want you to love me despite that. I want to be loved for it.
Yeah, fuck your spite.
Exactly. And I think there's a really powerful teaching moment there, as well as like, it really humbles the main character who kind of goes, actually, I had no idea. And I'm really sorry. I didn't check my privilege.
Yeah, you're basically describing privilege. Yeah. And different perspectives that occur all the fucking time. Exactly.
And that is such a, it's, I think that really humanizes the main character, because she makes a real mistake there. You know, you have to learn what your privileges are. A lot of this book is talking about privilege and how it works in the South Asian community, and where all it does come in and where all it works. And it's all teachable moments, and it's great.
If it's not too much of a spoiler, where is it based?
So it's based in the first part is based in Kashmir, which is the childhood. The second part is based in Delhi, and the third part is based in London.
Oh fuck. Okay, yeah, we discussed the autobiographical nature of it earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's someone's asking what you're drinking.
Oh, Jack Daniels. It's now neat because I've run out of Coke. It's getting really bad. I'm just sipping on neat Coca-Cola and talking on Instagram to my dear friend Nikita, who is a gangster of the highest order. By the way, everyone, Nikita Gill is just fucking legendary. I love you. She's
I love
awesome.
you too.
Gangster. Mm.
Oh.
So should we call this, or do you want to have like more check-ins?
I think like we could, whatever. I mean, it's going to be 10 to 8, and I should probably go and eat. But this has been so much fun.
It really has. I basically, I think that we're sort of getting on this whole like pub vibe. Well, I am. I don't care about you, Nikita. I'm like sort of getting drunk with my friends every Wednesday.
I love it.
I just get shit-faced with my friends on Instagram every Wednesday at 6 p.m. And I'm like, why can't this be normal life? The problem is that as soon as I turn this off, I'm in my house on my own. I'm like, oh, fuck. What do I do now? I want to run around till 4 a.m. Where do I go? Oh, nowhere. What do I do? Nothing. Okay.
No, Nerm. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait until I see you face to face again. We can do shots. Shots.
That's true. Okay, someone said stop showing off, Nerm. Yeah, it's true. I'm a bit of a twat. I am flashing my privilege. I apologize. I'm sorry. It's the one way I can keep sane is by talking to my friends, and Nikita is one of them. She's amazing. She's fucking. So listen, if anyone has got a question for Nikita, ask it now.
Yeah.
We'll forever hold your peace.
Wow.
Like forever. Leave her the fuck alone or ask it now. Now's the time. Hit the question mark.
Hama, Nerm does conversations every Wednesday with like really interesting, wonderful people. So you should tune in and like watch him every Wednesday.
Who are you talking to?
Hama, who actually has asked some really interesting questions. Where's she gone?
Okay.
There she is. Hama here. I think I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I think so. Oh, thank you. I'm really glad you like my nose ring. What is my favorite fairy tale? That's really hard to choose. I liked, when I was a child, I liked Beauty and the Beast. What's really interesting about Beauty and the Beast is that...
Really? How?
Because Belle really...
Sorry, cut you off. Sorry.
When I was a child, I liked Belle because unlike every other princess or Disney princess, because our generation, a lot of us were brought up on Disney being the bar for fairy tales and all of those things, right? That's how we were first introduced to them. And I really liked Belle because the Belle portrayed in Beauty and the Beast was a reader, was out there like learning and like wanted to know more about the world, thought there was more to life than the village that she was in. And she was really brave. She goes out into the forest to look for her dad by herself. She always tells the truth, even though she's not believed quite often. And I thought that was a really powerful character compared to all the other Disney princesses which I had seen up to then. That's why I like Belle. I like Beauty and the Beast as a story, as it was portrayed in that particular movie. But then as I got older, I think I just wanted more queer fairy tales to exist.
Okay, that explains it. Okay, so this is a bit odd.
Exactly.
Nice. Where's that lady? What did she ask? Well, there's some more questions.
Oh, someone said Disney fucked us all up, didn't it? Yes, it did.
But then they bought Marvel and they bought Star Wars and they fucked Star Wars, but they got Marvel kind of right.
I gotta say, yeah. All fairy tales are twisted narratives. True, and you can twist them to suit what you want, what you wish you had read. What's lovely about fairy tales is that you can retell them a billion times over. Marvel is badass. I completely agree. What time do I start writing? Well, yes, sometimes 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is when my writer brain goes, right, it is now time to write a massive long story about something that you have just thought of, which makes no sense to anyone but you. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is awesome. What superhero would I want to be? I don't know. You ask me the goddess I want to be, it's very easy, but superhero. I think it's hard. I think it's hard. I think there need to be more brown superheroes. So, you know, I think there was like a brown Spider-Man for a while, which I thought was really cool. I used to own those comics. That was very cool. Underrated poets. Literally all the poets I know are so, I wish everyone would hype them up so much more. You know, I think there's a whole bunch of like poets, like Zia Ahmed is a brilliant poet. He's quite well known. Sophia Tucker, she's amazing. You know, there are lots of poets. Like I think there's loads of poets out there to read right now, and everyone should be hyping poets up. That's my drug of choice, hyping poets up.
Okay, so who's your entry-level poet?
Entry level. Well, I can give you an entry level kind of book, which I think everyone should be reading.
Not entry level, but easy to get into. Sorry, yes.
Easy to get into and work is beautiful. Absolutely, I think everyone should read The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. It's basically it's a novel in verse. It's a drag queen coming of age story, and I think it's beautifully written. It's a powerful book. It was on the Jhalak shortlist this year. It won the Stonewall Prize, and in general, Dean is one of the most powerful, wonderful people I've ever met. He's a brilliant poet, and he has always made poetry really accessible for everyone, because he uses, his work is powerful and complex, but in the best possible way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fadak. There you go.
How do I come up with my book titles? Oh, someone likes The Black Flamingo too. Yes. How do I come up with my book titles? So I am very bad at titling stuff. So I get help. I get help from so it's like a team effort, right? Coming up with the Nikita Gill title, because Nikita Gill is bad at titling books. I would probably title all of my work Untitled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Brown Girl Blues.
True. Brown Girl Blues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I think so. I usually sit down with my editors, and I sit down with my my agent, and everyone comes together, and we kind of have a brainstorming session. So it's always really nice to have someone to yell ideas off, which is one of the things that I love doing with my artist friends like Nerm, is sit and just talk through all of these really weird concepts, which is what I do for titles as well.
And shout and just fuck off, you're wrong.
Yeah.
How was the gap, by the way, when I went for a wee? Was it okay?
Yeah, I was just talking to people about all sorts of things. I was talking about how there was a brown Spider-Man for a while who came from a village. Yeah, he was really cool. I really loved him.
Have you read the books?
I used to own them.
Huh?
I used to own the books. I used to have the books.
I have number 1 signed by the artist and writer downstairs.
So jealous. I am so jealous.
You know the story about that, the licensing thing? You know how that happened? So Gotham Comics in India had the licensing for Marvel and DC to reprint their comic books in India. And then they approached Marvel with this idea of creating an origin story for Spider-Man in India. And they got it. And they published it in India. But weirdly, Marvel Comics in the US only printed and distributed it in the US.
Wow.
Yeah. So Spider-Man India was only available in a 4-part comic book series in the US.
Yeah, that's weird, because I was able to actually get copies off a friend. I remember how hard they were to track down. That much I remember. But I had to get a friend to get me copies. And it's just, I really loved it, because it's the first superhero that I went, oh, he's brown like me.
And he wears modules with the red curled up things. And I was like, oh my God, I could imagine him in Bombay jumping on top of rickshaws, skipping along, and it was fucking amazing. And with his dhoti, his lungi, and
you know, that
so
Hrithik
cool.
Roshan movie came out, which had a brown superhero in it as well.
Krish,
I think, yeah. And I think that was such a hype and craze then, because there were no brown superheroes.
I mean, this is the thing. So I spoke to Shruti about this too, because she, the bastard, is friends with Neil Gaiman. So I'm like, like, please, can I just meet him one day?
Just one day,
And I just want to like lick his ear.
That's such
Just-
a random thing. You lick his ear.
Yeah, I'll lick his ear, and then I'll be happy. I don't know why, but yeah, licking Neil Gaiman's ear would be awesome. As opposed to chewing it off, you want him to retain his appendages, right? So yeah, it's a gentle licking. But anyway, fuck, what was the point? I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, you just started thinking about licking Neil Gaiman's ear, and you just went
lost it.
Oh,
What was I saying?
we were talking about Brown Spider-Man. About
Brown
Indian
Spider-Man.
We
Oh,
talked about
okay.
the story.
So, creating Indian legends. And the point is that these are all American legends that never existed before. So America, as a new country, has to create its archetypes and create their legends. Whereas India has got thousands of years of mythology.
Yeah.
Whereas the American mythology is less than 100 years old.
Yeah, true.
That's all it is.
Marvel is their mythology.
And DC, a Batman fan basket.
We all love Batman. I do love a bit of Batman.
But that probably explains why there's a lack of Indian superheroes, is because we have mythology going back fucking thousands of years.
Yeah,
We've had these
our gods. It's true.
Yeah.
The thing is, the thing with writing this book definitely is that I'm kind of trying to bring that out. You know, at every point in this child's life where she's going through a hard time, how, you know, for some people it's superheroes. For her, it's the goddesses who come into her life and like give her advice and wisdom and show her.
Can I ask you a question? This is really fucking controversial, right? So this is kind of like your comments are gonna maybe go haywire. But so the issue I have with the Ramayana, for example, and all these texts is that there seems to be the primary thing is the concept that, right, let me just formulate this correctly in my head. So in Indian mythology, which is our archetypes and our superheroes and stuff, how does one contend with the inherent misogyny of, say, Sita being rejected from her marital home because she may have slept with Ravan?
So it's the way you view it, like the way I retell these stories, because these stories are all being told by grandmothers and goddesses and everything. There is a way to reclaim a story without changing the fundamentals of that story.
Mm-hmm.
Because what Sita also does is something really empowering in the story, where she walks away. She walks away from everything in the end.
But then dies. Goes back to Earth, right? So that's the fundament. There seems to be like an odd moral tale woven into this arc that seems a bit odd to me.
I don't know. I feel like the way that you retell, because there's so many versions of the story. Now, the version of the story I want to believe is that she walks away from everything. She walks away from Ram. She walks away from everything. She goes back to her mother, who's the earth. And she doesn't die. She just walks away. And she goes away from everything that was holding her back. And I think there's something really empowering about a woman being able to do that. Because we are held back by so much. There's a movie I just watched actually this morning called What Will People Say, which is about a Pakistani. You must have heard of it. It's about.
I haven't seen it. No, I don't know it. Yeah.
So she's a Norwegian Pakistani teenager, and at home, because the culture is quite like she plays a good Pakistani daughter, and then she goes out and she's a Norwegian teenager, so she's balancing those cultures, and she gets caught by her father, and then gets kidnapped and sent to Pakistan by her parents. And it's really interesting to see how much worth is kind of put on the izzat of the girl, right? Which is inherently a South Asian thing as well, is that there's this culture of putting so much onto the izzat of a girl.
Yeah, but is it the whole like honor of a female, like the virginity aspect of it goes through all religious traditions of like it's a virgin birth. of a deity. So the Islam aspect of it is it's like.
Okay, so the name of the movie is What Will People Say? It's half in Norwegian and half in Urdu. So I had the subtitles on for the Norwegian part, but it's really beautifully done. It's really interesting. And I think the thing is, it's such a familiar story. I had friends this happened to. You know people it's happened to, you know.
Yeah.
A girl gets out of hand, aka just maybe has a boyfriend, has gone to a party, and then something really violent and brutal and final happens and she's married off or something like that. And there is a lot that we have to talk about, I think, when it comes to that. Like, why does that happen more to women? Because men go through their own thing, you know.
So you obviously know about the creation of Wonder Woman and I forget his name.
Yeah.
The guy who created Wonder Woman and these archetypes. My point was that we have our own superhero archetypes.
Yeah.
But they seem to reinforce some really odd behavior.
Yeah.
That's kind of fucked up. Whereas, and I guess that because the American narrative with superheroes and stuff is so recent, you can challenge that and contest it as you go along.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, when the trailer for the new Star Wars film, well, the trilogy came out, it was like, a black stormtrooper.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck? People were up in arms.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting. I think, like, there's a way to, I talk a lot about in this book as well. I talk about the concept of decolonizing work and how does that happen? Because even in India, the fact that I was reading a whole bunch of dead white guys in English class and not brown and black poets, it was really interesting that was how.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry for cutting you off. I apologize, but like the world right now is led by American fiction, American new legends and new mythology is being created that leads the world in a way that generates the most revenue and the narratives and so on and so forth. And like I was saying, like Black Panther and all these things are changing things. So I'm guessing that the whole concept of what that fiction is shifting somewhat.
Yes, absolutely.
But people are being left behind.
I don't know. The way that I see literature going is more inclusive towards people who have been ignored for a really long time. I don't know whether, like, I want to see a lot more Indian girls from India kind of, you know, writing and publishing books here or in America, or you know, because Indian literature is so rich and full of so much beautiful cultural folklore and thought. And I grew up with Amar Chitra Katha and Panchatantra and all of those things. Oh, that was the good stuff, right?
The only reason I know any mythology is because of Amar Chitra Katha. Sorry, Amar Chitra Katha.
I am literally going to buy the entire box set because I used to get individual comics, but now I want to buy the whole box set, right? And just have them with me because I think that that is such a accessible, wonderful way to teach children about mythology.
So Ortiz Maria is saying, how can we learn more about your culture in South America? Amar Chitra Katha is the way.
It is.
I've got to say. So do you want to explain it to everyone watching about what Amar Chitra Katha is?
So Amar Chitra Katha, in fact, do I have it? Yes, I do. I have it. It is a series of, sorry, I have a lot of books I'm reading at once, but so these are Amar Chitra Kathas. So it is a series of comic books that tell the story of the Indian gods, beautifully illustrated, as you can see, that tell the stories of the Indian gods and the goddesses. And it tells you it tells you the Mahabharata, it tells you the Ramayana, it tells you all the other stories that come in, it tells you, and then there's the Panchatantra also. So there's a Panchatantra version of the Amar Chitra Kathas that
I've got the Ramayana and the Mahabharata in volumes.
So good. And
but it also
it's a graphic novel, isn't it, basically?
But it highlights it in a way that isn't, it seems at least a little bit like neutral. So it exposes the inherent misogyny it exposes all of the fuckery and all the weird stuff.
Yeah.
So I learned that, for example, like I'm a big, like Shiva's my dude. Like Shiva's
Yes.
a fucking punk, right? Like
Yeah.
amazing. So
Yeah.
Shiva as a deity was like growing up in a conservative Hindu household,
Yeah.
and discovering Shiva was like, what?
Yeah.
There's like dance, drugs, and sexings and touchings and like, what the fuck? This is amazing. And just all this kind of stuff. And then to find out that Ganga and Parvati were sisters.
Yes.
And that Ganga wanted to sort of take Shiva away. And
Yeah.
it's like, what is this? This is amazing.
What's
It's
going on? Yeah.
Game of Thrones, but with brown people. Well, blue.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's true. And what's really interesting about Shiva is that someone just asked whether I'm writing something about in Hindu mythology. I'm actually, my current book is a novel in verse which covers Hindu mythology and the goddesses. So yeah, that's why there are lots of Hindu mythology books behind me, because that's what I've been reading as research. And Devdutt Patnaik, yes, I've been reading a lot of his stuff. And I think what's really interesting about Shiva is that when I watched a bunch of videos which were done by people from the West on Shiva, and
From the West, what,
the
small tank top.
I'm gonna smack you. I was hoping you hadn't noticed that, but you're mean to me. You're so mean. I was going to say something really profound.
Please continue. Please be profound. I'm just being a twat. I'm so sorry.
But I got really annoyed because Shiva, Parvati, Ganesh, I have a very inherent and deep connection with them. The main character in this book is called Paro, right? And she kind of, the kind of way that they covered Shiva was they looked at him as evil, you know, and I'm just like, why does everything have to be about evil and like inherently really good? Like the Hindu gods are so much more nuanced than that. Shiva is the god of balance. Like people keep going, oh, but he's the god of like, he's the destroyer god. Da, 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 da. I'm like, destruction does not have to be evil. The fact that people view it that way, that's the problem. You know, and like when I started looking into Shiva, I think one of the most interesting things about him is that he does not pick sides. He hangs out with the asuras, he hangs out with the dead, he hangs out with the living, he hangs out with everyone, and he's just out there cool and having a party.
What a great archetype. Of course, what a fucking archetype. I mean, shit, who cares? Just fucking have fun. Because it ultimately is quite finite. I mean, there you go.
This is it. Like, I think it's writing this book has very much been trying to tell people that are, you know, that Hindu mythology has so much depth and is so profound and has so many things. The way that it's portrayed in the West is in the West,
or at least let's just say portrayed now.
Portrayed now, yes.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, portrayed now is but because in India it's actually, you know, there's been a lot of reclamation of the stories, like Amish, who, you know, those books behind me. There's a beautiful set of retellings by Chitra Devakarani Banerjee, who retells Sita's story in a really powerful feminist way. Draupadi's story in a really powerful feminist. Sorry.
Really? How?
No, it is. It's.
So you just get a booty call right then, just like, dismissed.
But yeah, I think.
No, but how are they retold in a positive way? Because I've often viewed those tales as being something that I would sort of rebel against the people I grew up with and say, well, fuck that. Draupadi's story is a massively anti-feminist story. Parvati's story is massively anti-feminist. So is Sita. Sita's tale is the most misogynistic shit that I've heard. How is that different?
But I think like the power of it being feminist is the fact that there is no hiding that misogyny that these women go through, and they still fight back. Like Sita is actually trained in the warrior arts in Chitra's book. She's trained in all of the warrior arts, so she's a very different kind of princess. You know, she's not, and it's something that her mother teaches her on purpose, that you have to be trained. You have to know how to go to war. You have to be this, you know, powerful warrior woman in a lot of ways. And she still has to work within the bounds of misogyny. And you see lots of like women in the book who are, you know, like KK. She's usually the villain, and so many in the Ramayana, she's the villain, right? But you still get to see her in a softer way. You still get to see why she is the way that she is. Those stories, adding that nuance to those characters and showing how they still keep themselves, they're still their authentic selves and do not give in their own ways. That's
Yeah.
powerful. That's empowering. You know, I think we've all been victims of misogyny, racism, in you know, because of structural oppression in one way or the other. But how you fight those systems and what you do with that fight.
So changing like sort of like mythological archetypal norms into a different perspective has got to be really fucking hard, particularly with the various viewpoints we have around us. So
Mm.
the simple fact you could sort of accept queer female deities, or the you know the thing that I cling on to, which is like Kali stomping on Shiva, and it's like no one can fuck with her.
Mm.
How does that affect you as a writer? Because you're challenging things that in the sort of in the homogenized mainstream will leave you open to attack.
Unfortunately, I think if you are going to write, you have to accept the fact that people are going to jump on you, especially if you're a woman trying to write. That much I know for a fact. Like, so many times I just get jumped on by people for no reason. Like, I get hate.
Virtually, I hope. Yes.
Huh?
Virtually, I hope.
Virtually,
Yes.
yes, yeah. No, virtually. I get like hate DMs every day, like people just who want to tell me how shit I am at everything I do and how I should just kill myself. Um, how they don't agree with the mythology stories I'm telling. But it's important to kind of reiterate all the time that these are retellings. You know,
Yeah.
you may have your own perspective on this mythology. I have my own. Both of them are valid. Because mythology in general, the way I like to see it is like an extended D&D game, right? It was invented by a bunch of poets and they all disagreed with each other. So
Yes. 100%.
they all disagreed with each other. So we are allowed to disagree with what they're disagreeing with, and we're allowed to agree with what, you know, maybe we want to write about. Like, you invent what you want to invent, you do what you want to do, and you see things the way you want to see them, and all of those things are valid. That's what we need to keep telling each other. That's how we develop nuance in the world. But that's just, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a comment that came with like, especially as if you're about to write a subject from a female perspective that is Hindu mythology.
Mm.
And so Nikita and I spoke about this for ages, which was about how Great Goddesses was Greek mythology with less baggage, because how many Greeks give a fuck about that mythology?
It was like the Hellenic gods are not given as much love as say the Hindu gods are, because so many people still practice Hinduism,
Yeah.
and Hellenic cults have become fewer and more far between because Christianity came in and took over. But I find that pantheons in general inherently are more interesting than monolithic.
There's
It's
more
not.
characters to play with. You've got more action figures,
Yeah,
and you
basically,
can have like battles and shit. It's way more fun.
basically. And I think it's interesting because with Hindu mythology, in that reclamation in this book, I've not I've not had to do what I did with the Greek gods either, because it's a very different book. I never write the same book twice. I will never write the same book twice. Even in books and series are never going to resemble each other. That's just not something I do, because as an artist, I don't think I should be giving my audience the same thing again and again to digest. I need to give people something new to think about, new to talk about, new to comment on and disagree with and agree with. It depends on how they.
Which is why we're doing this whole fucking chat. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Exactly. That's it. We it's the duty of a writer to constantly challenge their audience and make them think new things. And along the way, you will lose people who kind of want to see the same thing again and again from you.
But also themselves as well. Like, you've got to fucking challenge yourself every
Now,
step of the way.
what do you believe in? And is that thing that you believe in necessarily the stereotype that the world believes in.
And is it valid?
Exactly.
There's nothing better than like having, oh wait, hang on a second. There's some questions, sorry. There's nothing better than having your own world shaken and challenged and then recreating it again.
Absolutely.
It's fucking great. But should we call it now?
Yes.
I
should go and eat, and you should go and eat. You should definitely go and eat. You're drinking.
I need to go and wee again.
Well, I've just finished off a bottle of JD whilst we've been chatting.
No, 1/3 of a bottle. It's been good. Thank you, lovely. I really appreciate this.
Thank you so much for having me. You are just wonderful, and I saw a few people comment that we now are crushing on Nerm, which is great.
Who? What? But what?
People saying that. I was like, yes, he's a good person to crush on.
Complete cunt. Ignore everything she said. Bastard.
Hey, you're so
Shut
mean
up.
to me.
No, I'm a cunt, not you. I was. Not you. You're lovely.
Aww,
Yes.
You're not
Thank you, guys.
You're lovely.
Right. Well, this will all be archived, and I will continue this next Wednesday. But Nikita, thank you so much. And I want to get drunk with you again soon.
Meet up with you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.